Hello, Accounting Superstars. This is Professor Don Bush from the Accounting Superstar channel. Welcome aboard. I've been a professor for about 30 years and a CPA for about that long, and I've got great ways to explain accounting. So you come to the right place. This lesson today is for students who are in their second semester of accounting class and learning about flexible budgets. And I have to tell you what, here in Colorado today, it's been a beautiful day, but the clouds have rolled in and we've got some afternoon thunderstorms. So if you hear some thunder and lightning, it's because we're having a thunder and lightning storm. And but other than that, it's really been a wonderful day, and I just absolutely love living here. I live right on the edge of the Rocky Mountains. In fact, you can see the Continental Divide from where I live. Really cool. All right, so let's get started. Now, folks, with this flexible budget, students manage to mess it up. I don't know how they mess it up because nothing could be easier than this. It's really, really easy. And by the way, budgeting is important. I've been budgeting my money for every month for the last 30, 40 years, whatever. And it helps. It really, really helps. It helps keep a person out of trouble, financial trouble. You get to know, this way you don't overspend and get yourself in debt, that kind of thing. Or at least if you are getting yourself in debt, at least you can see it happening. So I don't suggest that. But budgeting, it's critical, guys. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. And in this book, they talk about how millionaires conduct their lives and how they really live. And they spend a lot of time planning their purchases, planning out their finances. And if you want to be financially successful, you got to start budgeting your money. Just start doing it. All right. Even if you're in college and living in the dorms, start making out a budget. Get into the habit of doing it. You'll be glad you did. So the company here, Sunset Sailboat Company, is making up a budget, and what they're doing is they want to compare to how things really went. All right. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to work on a budget here in regard to labor. And it's super easy. So here's what's happening is that they created a budget right here in this first column of numbers. They created a budget based on building 10 sailboats. They were expecting to build 10 sailboats this month, but they actually ended up doing better than that. They ended up building 12 sailboats. All right. Now, if we were to compare building 10 sailboats with 12 sailboats, you can't compare it. This is like apples and oranges. It would not make any sense whatsoever. We got to compare apples with apples, all right? Otherwise, it's pure garbage. And I actually saw a company do this where they didn't bother to correct their budget. And they what they did is they compared the budget at 10 sailboats with the budget at 12 sailboats. I couldn't believe it. I was on the board of directors of this company, and I couldn't believe that they did this. And I blew up. I did. I don't blow up too often, but I blew up. It was just total incompetence, total insanity. So don't do that. All right. So here's what we're going to do: is we're going to convert this budget from a budget of 10 sailboats to a budget of 12 sailboats. All right. That way we can compare apples with apples. Wouldn't it be nice to have a budget for 12 sailboats and compare it to that they actually built 12 sailboats? All right. So here's what we're doing. And I did it in 2 steps just to make it easy, just so everybody could understand what I'm doing. But you don't need to do it in 2 steps. It's so easy you could do it in 1 step. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this first column from 10 sailboats into a per boat basis. So all I'm doing is taking the 5,500, dividing it by the 10 sailboats. So what that equals, it equals $550. So that's how much the boat painter should be paid per boat. All right, let's do the electrician. Just take 6,800 divided by 10. You get $680. The electronics expert, 6,700 divided by 10, and you get 670. You see the pattern? We're just dividing it by 10 here. So I'm going to uncover all the other numbers. There we go. I hope you got it. If you don't, just rewind a little bit. That's a nice thing about YouTube is you can rewind this stuff. Now let's convert the per boat basis into 12 boats. Well, that's easy. All we're going to do is take 550 times 12. 550 times 12. 680 times 12. 670 times 12. Get the picture? That's all we're doing, multiplying it by 12. And that'll convert it into 12 boats. And there we go. Now we can do some comparing. So what I'm going to do, and I'll make it in bright orange here so you can tell what I'm doing here. Bright orange color right there. Not that orange, but there we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to compare this budget in the bright gold color here, 12 sailboats, against the actual cost for the 12 sailboats in the green. So here's what we're doing is we're just going to say, hey, if we're under budget, that's favorable. If we're over budget, that's unfavorable. Now, life's not that simple, but that's how we're going to do this report. All right, so let's check it out. Budget for the boat painter was $6,600, ended up being $6,680. We're over budget, unfavorable. Electrician, $8,160 was budgeted, but it ended up being $8,300. We're over budget. Electronics expert, $8,040 was budgeted, but it was $7,700, so we're under budget there. Engine installer budgeted $7,200, but we spent $7,010. We're a little under budget. $190, so on and so forth. See how easy this is? Budget was $5,400, but we spent $7,000. Boy, are we way over budget on this. I wonder what happened there. All right, so I hope you get the picture. That's all we're doing. So I'm going to uncover all of this. And here are the numbers. If you were to follow it down, there are the numbers. And for the boat detailer, we budgeted $3,600. Ended up being $3,600, so there's no variance there at all. So what we're going to do next here, we're going to get totals here. So we're going to just add up the favorable and the unfavorable and see what we get. So 1,580 for the favorable and 1925 for the unfavorable. So what we do lastly here is net it out. In other words, decide which number is bigger and find the difference between the two numbers. So we'll take 1925 minus the 1580 and you get 345. Now I put it into the unfavorable column because the unfavorable side's a little bit bigger. That is easy. This is how you handle the variable costs. You see, all these workers over here, it's direct labor. The more boats we build, the more direct labor we need, right? It's variable. It's a variable cost. So you handle variable costs this way. This is how you do a flexible budget. And that way we can compare apples with apples. Coming down here to the fixed costs. So these costs down here are fixed. Now, fixed costs are supposed to be fixed, right? They're not supposed to change within a reasonable range of production. And so they originally budgeted $6,000 for the parts manager. Well, for 12 sailboats, it ought to be the same, $6,000. Fixed costs are fixed. They're not going to change. And so I've got not applicable here in this column here. And what I'm going to do, just so we know which column we're in, I'll split the screen. And I'll put the headings here so you can tell where we are. A little easier. There we go. All right, so the budget for 10 sailboats is the same as the budget for 12 sailboats. I mean, what could be easier, right? Doesn't change. Now, let's compare 12 sailboats against 12 sailboats. So parts manager budgeted $6,000, ended up being $6,200. So we're a little over budget. So that would be unfavorable. And let's see here. I don't have anything there, but I'll have something there. There we go. All right. And production coordinator budgeted $8,000, ended up being $8,000, so there's no variance whatsoever. Janitor budgeted $4,000, ended up being $4,200, a little bit over budget, and I can see I don't have a number there. Factory maintenance budgeted $6,000, ended up being $8,200. That is way over budget. Labor supervisor, 9,500, actual 9,500. Same with the factory supervisor, same. But the factory labor scheduler budgeted 5,500. It ended up being 5,550. So we're a little bit over budget there too by $50. There we go. Let me get that there we are, $50. And so let's add up the columns. Well, this column's easy. There's nothing there. And the total of this column here is 2650 if you add this up. So we didn't have any favorable variances. They were all unfavorable. And one big giant one, the factory maintenance, that was huge. All right, so let's find the net variance. Well, the net variance is easy. 2650 unfavorable, 0 favorable. So it nets out to be 2650 unfavorable. All right. And now the total net labor variance, the total. So here's what we're going to do. Right here's that 345. That was the variable cost, the variable net variance. It was unfavorable. And we've got the fixed cost net variance of 2650. So that adds up to a bigger unfavorable. There we go. 2,995 is the grand total net labor variance. So we're over budget here. We're over budget. So what would happen at this point here is that the management, if they are on the ball, they will look at this report and they'll ask some questions. They'll say, okay, fiberglass technician, you are way over budget. What happened here? What went on? What went on? Why are we so far over budget? What happened last week? And hopefully the fiberglass technician will explain it and say, this is what happened, and maybe it was a mistake that happened, an honest mistake. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they mixed the fiberglass wrong and it wasn't a good mistake. It's like something they should have known better. Who knows? But the management needs to talk about this. Now, you may think that you only need to talk about unfavorable variances, but that's not true. You want to also talk about favorable variances. For instance, the quality inspector is under budget by $800. And if I were a manager, I'd be a little concerned about that. And you might say, why are you concerned? They're under budget. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is maybe the quality inspector accidentally forgot to inspect a boat. All right. Now the quality inspector, right here, we can see it's $650 per boat. So I kind of wonder if they forgot to inspect a boat. You might say, well, what's the big deal? They're just inspecting the boat. Well, I don't want any boats to get out to customers that haven't been inspected, fully inspected, in case there's a problem. I mean, what if there's an obvious problem that we should have caught? And so I'd be worried about this. I'd be concerned. So I would get together with the quality inspector, look over their paperwork and see what boats were inspected, and ask the quality inspector what happened here, and see if there was a boat that was never inspected. All right, moving down to the fixed costs. Now, fixed costs are supposed to be fixed. So what's going on here? The parts manager, we could find out, well, why is the parts manager over budget? Did the parts manager have to work extra hours? The janitor, same thing, extra hours. But I'd be really concerned about this factory maintenance and find out why in the world did the factory maintenance people work extra? I mean, a lot extra. Why do we have an unfavorable variance of 2,200? I want to know, well, what happened this last week? And it could be that maybe an important machine in the factory broke down and they had to hustle. They had to work all night to get that thing fixed. Maybe there was a big spill of chemicals in the factory and it all had to be cleaned up. And it was a dangerous situation. Who knows? So I would certainly find out why they were over budget with that. So anyways, that is how you do a flexible budget, folks. And if you need to, rewind and watch it again. It's easy to do. No reason to get it wrong here because it's so easy. So if this video helped you out, let me know. Hit the like button, subscribe button, And that way I'll know you like these videos. YouTube will know you like these videos, and you'll get to watch more of these videos. I'll make more for you. Also, in the comments, you can write down topics that you'd like to have videos made on, and I can do that for you. So until next time, oh, one last thing, check out accountingsuperstars.com. It's my webpage, and I've got all these videos by topic, so they're easier to find. So you guys have a good day, and we will see you later. All right, over and out.